Talking Nachos is dedicated to helping dentists do three things: increase success, decrease stress, and most of all, reduce the number of times you feel like crying inside a day. We have our amazing sponsors who showcase what they do to help dentists cry less inside. Will you share with us who you are and what you do to help dentists cry less inside?
Hey, Paul, I'm Brian Hanks. I own Dental Buyer Advocates, and we help buyers of dental practices that are in transition. So, or an accounting firm or the dental CPA you call when you're buying a practice. People want to listen to this, whether you're buying a practice or not. If you ever sell your practice, or if you're just one of those guys that's on the Dental Notches Facebook page and you see somebody get a really good rate on a dental loan, you are going to be a far less confused. And when it comes time for you to either get a loan or get some monies from someone who's getting a loan on their part to pay you, this is how you're going to cry less inside is the topic we're going to talk about today.
I love that because there's so many parts and pieces that go into it. If I can just share authentically for a minute, I
Please.
wish I could go back to the future like Marty McFly, and I wish it was 2011. I knew someone like you. So I'm just here to scare this community into making good decisions because I purchased a practice from a dual rep broker. I didn't ask the right questions. I
Yep.
didn't know someone like Brian Hanks, and it was also totally my responsibility, but I
Mhm.
wish I had done something different. That mistake has cost me at least $100,000. So it's so important when you're making the biggest decision of your career to have the right people on your side. But tell us more about
Yeah.
not just the right bank, but also the right banker. Right bank, right banker.
All right. I'm going to tell you a story, Paul. And this is a decision that saved the dentist $187,
Wow.
$187,616. So
I like that.
187, I got the exact number because Paul, I'm a CPA. I did the math.
Yeah.
All right. So when you call you see this comment a lot on a Facebook. Hey, I'm about to borrow money to buy some equipment, buy a practice. I'm about to make a big purchase. And the question is, which bank should I call? And that's not a bad question, Paul. It's a great question. But there's a second question I want people to ask, and that is, which bank should I call and which banker? Now,
Gotcha.
before I get to the story, let me give you the background on why that second question is so important. All right. So I'm going to pick on a bank here, but this comment can provide to is applicable to all the big dental lenders. You got Huntington, Provide, B of A, U.S. Bank, Wells Fargo. Pick your bank. This comment is true for all of them. But let me pick on Bank of America for a second. They're the biggest. They do the most dental lending in the country. And Paul, you've got a banker is the word we use, but there's another word that could apply just as well, and it's salesperson, right?
Yeah.
They are selling dental loans to
Yeah.
dentists. And I don't know, Paul, this is just for fun. I don't
Good.
expect you to know the answer, but just for fun, any guess how many salespeople Bank of America has selling dentists loans in the US?
I love questions like this. I love the
Yeah.
jelly beans in a jar question. So I am going to say 320.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, and you might be right if you counted like the support staff for the salespeople and some of the underwriters and the credit team, etc. The face, if you called the 800 number and said, "Hey,
Gotcha.
I'm in
Okay.
Philadelphia.
Be less than that.
Who's my banker in Philadelphia?" There are 63 bankers at Bank of
63.
America in the US. Okay. And the way they work is there's a little bit of so they work by territories, right? It's by geography. So if you call the 800 number, you're going to get routed to the banker in your territory. So here's the key insight I want you to know, Paul. It's very important to know which bank to call,
Gotcha.
but it's also important to know which banker to call because it's not solely based on geography. The way their salespeople rules work at the bank is, Paul, it's not where I live that determines which banker I work with. It's which banker I talk to first. All
Gotcha.
right. So, Paul, you in Philly, I'm in Salt Lake. Let's just say, just by chance, you get the name of a banker who happens to sit in Seattle, right? All the way across the country from you, because that Seattle banker talked to you, Paul, Dr. Paul Goodman, first. That Seattle banker is now your banker. No ifs,
I
ands, or
see. I didn't
buts.
know that.
Period. Yep. So there are territory bankers, and there is a banker for Philly that probably, and I know who it is. He's
Yeah.
awesome. And and if you call the Seattle banker first, that's who you work with. Now, here's the reason why this is important. There's 63 bankers, Paul. someone at Bank of America is number one on that list. They're the best. They have the best team. They have the best relationships with the CEO. They can get exceptions. And someone on that list is number 63, and they're about to be fired.
I
And if,
see.
if you call the banker number 63, they probably have the weakest team. They've got something going on in their personal life. They're about to be fired, and you're going to have a really crappy experience with that banker.
Now, tell me, I love that you're sharing this, and this is right up Dentist Alley, right?
Yeah,
Make sure you don't miss out on something, especially money.
bingo.
How would anyone know this on the dentist side? And what kind of insight can you give us to kind of like,
Yeah.
you're going to get to your story. Maybe you'll tell it in your story.
Yeah, I'll,
I'm
I'll tell
excited to
you,
hear.
it's tricky. Okay. Now it's a little self-serving to just say, give me a call. Okay. I know who they are. Brian
Right.
Hanks, you can look me up on the website. That's a decent option. Not everybody's going to pick up the phone and call me.
Yeah.
So your second best option is to ask around. Ask your friends, ask other dentists, your network. Oh, holy crap. If you're a dentist and you have nobody to call, that's your first problem, not which banker to call. But your warm professional network, go on the Nachos page. I'm in this, I'm thinking about calling this bank. Who worked with a really good
But I
banker
want to
at
share,
this
Brian, I'm
bank?
going to interject, not
Yep.
interrupt. Dennis Job connects my other company, Nachos Sponsor.
Yeah.
Proudly say that we're a community-based job board. So you're going to find out about associates that you may not about other job boards that can make your dreams come true. So we
Smart.
highlight our differentiating factors. We highlight our uniqueness. Back to what you do on your daily basis and helping people not mess up buying their dental practice.
Yeah,
This is an advantage of working with someone like you,
it
right?
is.
I mean,
Yep.
when they work with you, you help with all parts of the process to get them to get them to the finish line of buying the practice. Is that a
That's
best way
right.
to put it?
Exactly. Yep. So
And one of
it's
the
not
biggest parts is getting the money, right?
It is, yeah, it's huge. And yes, making sure you do a good valuation and you put in a fair asking price, maybe save a little money on the asking price. We do all of that too, help you get to the finish line, pick the right lawyer. But getting that money is such a key piece. Our average client, Paul, just for as a fun side statistic, is our average client, we help when they do the bank loan, just by beating up the banks a little bit and making sure we talk to the right people, saves $33,718 on their bank
That's
loan
awesome.
when they work with
Right.
us.
and
Yeah.
and that exceeds likely what you even charge them. But
Oh, yep.
go back to that $187,000.
Okay.
Sorry, the impact. I mean, this is like the opposite of mine of losing the 100,000. The impact is not just that one moment in time. It's like
Right.
carries out through the life of the loan, allows you to have
Yep.
money for other stuff. So kind of either
Yeah.
deepen our understanding of that story, and more important, the impact that that has on that practice owner now.
So I got a dentist in New Jersey, called up a big national lender. I'm not going to name the bank. The name of the bank isn't important to the story. And they called the banker in their area. And they went through the underwriting process. And the amount, Paul, this is relevant. The amount they were going to borrow, $964,000, just shy of $1 million. Okay.
Okay.
So pretty typical amount that a buyer would borrow to buy a good practice, about $1 million. Okay. So in this case, 964. They went through the underwriting process with the bank that usually takes 2 to 3 weeks. They got the offer from the bank and they got the offer from the bank and they got to the closing table. And just this wasn't a client of mine, by the way, Paul. And I saw the offer. They gave me a call and said, "Hey, Brian, just about to close, about to borrow almost $1 million. Would you mind looking at this bank loan and letting me know?" And I looked at it and I said, "Hey, this rate that you're looking at, did you know that this bank actually has lower rates across the country? And that's changed in the last 3 weeks since you applied. There's actually a better rate out there." The
Okay.
dentist said, "No, I had no idea." Called their banker, and their banker said, "Gosh, I know there's no rate lock on here, and we can change the rate, but Paul or the dentist,
It could be
sorry,
me.
yep, you're this is your rate. Just you got to take it. Sorry, there's nothing." And this was literally the words they said. "There's nothing I can do." And I said, "Hey,
Jeez.
just for fun, let me call the banker I know at this bank, who I know who the number one banker is, and let me see if there is something that can be done." One phone call, Paul. The number one banker said, "Hey, Brian, I know, let me call that territory person." They confidentially said, "Yeah, there's some stuff going on there. Let me make a phone call for you." 24 hours, the banker in the territory of New Jersey called the client, or that not quite a client. They did sign up as a client, and said, hey, we can drop your rate 0.6%. So it went from a 5.29 to a 4.69 in 24 hours. The banker who said there's nothing we can do suddenly got, and I did the math. It was a 15-year loan. We did the math over 15 years,
I mean, that
$187,616.
just shows you you're
Yep.
a hero to that person. You're
Yep.
the right person on their team, as I like to say. And this is why you have to talk to people who do this thing every day. One of
That's
the
right.
things that just drives me nacho nuts about my dental community is they will spend more time trying to change a dental lab when both dental labs are good, and then try to DIY something they have no idea how to do. And it's
Yep.
just a reminder that most dentists do this once. Most dentists do
Right.
this once, and you do
That's
not
right.
want to mess up your once decision. As we wrap up, tell us, my goal is to get people from analysis paralysis to doing something, right? So,
Hmm.
we have
Yep.
so many people in our nacho community thinking about buying a dental practice. Just
Yeah.
connected you with somebody yesterday, right? Uh,
Yep.
one of the things I want to share, and I want to spend a couple extra minutes, is when you're a dentist, Brian, and someone calls me December 20th and says, I want to
Mhm.
do a crown because my insurance benefits are expiring,
Yeah.
and I treatment plan the crown in February, it makes me annoyed at you. Okay. I might not show it. I might just say, well, try to work it out, Brian. Or sometimes I literally can't do it.
Yep.
So I do get messages like, "Hey, can you introduce me to a Brian Hanks? I have to
Right.
make a decision on this tomorrow." So I want to
Yes.
share, be proactive instead of reactive. But if
Yep.
someone's watching this saying, "I want to buy a dental practice. I'm looking at some practices. I'm connecting with the broker," kind of explain how they go from filling out the information on your site, doing a call, walk us through that.
Hmm. If you're the dentist who got the treatment plan, the treatment plan that you want to buy a practice in February, Paul, I'm okay if you sit on that and you think about it. Here's the time you want to call me, is when someone has slid a piece of paper across the table or forwarded an email with a PDF that has some numbers on it. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
right.
the moment to give me a call. Okay. Now, immediately after the broker slides that email in your inbox with a PDF with some numbers, within 24 hours, they're going to be saying, hey, you need to sign an offer. They're going to be applying pressure to you as a buyer. Um, I can jump in and I will do my best on December 20th to put that crown in your mouth.
Yep.
But if you can give me a call and give me a heads up, the minute you start looking at some numbers on a practice, even if you're not sure you're going to buy that specific practice, our service is flat fee. You can look at as many practices as you want for the fee. If you end up passing and saying, this practice isn't right for me, there's no penalty financially to continue working with me and my team. And anyway, so the right time, I understand the nerves that people have, but the right time to kind of bring in a team and start asking for help is once you start looking at a practice that and somebody gives you some numbers, give me a call.
I think that's such valuable advice. And other things I share some red flags. Some people go, "Well, the seller came up with the price for me." I mean, I'll make a funny joke. It's like, tomorrow we get to go out to dinner, and like my wife's not like, "Oh, Paul, you just pick no matter where we go," because she knows it's going to be nachos and margaritas, right? So she wants to be involved in deciding on the restaurant. So you want to totally have a voice on what you're going to pay for this thing.
Right. Yeah.
So I love what you do for us, Ryan. People can text buyer to 215-543-6454. They can reach out to us at dentalnachos.com. You can tell Dennis you're doing the work of the Lord G.V. Black. He was a famous dentist, G.V. Black. And I so appreciate you sharing with us today.
Thanks for having me, Paul.